Sabaki. The starting position in the application of Aikido is Hammi. The ending position of the initial movement is the 90-degree position. We have covered both in the DVDs previously distributed on our website. How we get from Hammi to the 90-degree position is through Tai Sabaki, or body movement. Tai Sabaki means movement of the body. It is the movement of the body itself that develops power, maintains flow, and allows strategic movement. Without good Tai Sabaki, you cannot do good Aikido, or for that matter, any physical activity. Good Tai Sabaki starts with the movement of the feet. The feet carry your body and provide the stability to allow the rest of the body its flexibility. The feet also provide the stable base to allow you to develop the power through the rest of your body. In this DVD, we will look at some of the issues of Tai Sabaki in Aikido. Tai Sabaki is of extreme importance in Aikido, since it is from our Tai Sabaki that we get our power. In Aikido, our power comes from the movement of our core body or central mass. We know from basic Newtonian physics that force is a function of mass times acceleration. So, without moving our mass, there is no force to our techniques. Since Tai Sabaki is what we use to move our central mass, Tai Sabaki is the source of our power in Aikido. Before we start into the technical parts of the DVD, let us look at some of the terms that might be used when discussing Tai Sabaki. Suri Ashi. Suri Ashi means sliding step. So if you take a look at how we do this, we're walking on the toes of our feet. In Suri Ashi, the toes of the feet never leave the ground, and the foot always steps putting weight first on the toes. Looking at it from the other side. In keeping the toes sliding along the ground, you have to absorb some of the movement with your knees, so they must be kept flexible and mobile. The hips must also absorb some of the movement, so they too must remain flexible and mobile. You can do Suri Ashi whether you're using Okuri Ashi like that or Ayumi Ashi. In sliding the foot along, you get a different weight distribution sequencing compared to walking heel down first. The body glides along the floor in Suri Ashi, while the body rocks when stepping heel first. This means that by using Suri Ashi, you can learn to move your body's center of mass forward at the same time as your feet, rather than sticking your feet out first, then rocking your body's center of mass onto the front foot. Stepping heel first. The opposite of Suri Ashi would be stepping heel first, or normal walking. There are times when this is important in order to develop a different type of power. Okuriyashi. Okuriyashi is a type of step where the foot in front stays in front. You step by sending one foot out in front, and the movement of that foot carries the second foot with it. The Tai Sabaki starts with the movement of the front foot forward and finishes with a quick drawing up of the back foot. Most often, this type of step is done using Suri Ashi. Tsugi Ashi. Tsugi Ashi is like Okuriyashi, but the sequence starts with the back foot first coming up close to the front foot to provide the ability to reach a further distance with the movement of the front foot. The leap forward of the front foot finishes the sequence. A new one starts with the back foot coming up to the front foot again. The second part of Tsugi Ashi is most often done using a flat-footed stomp or Fumikomi. Ayumi Ashi. Ayumi Ashi is stepping through, crossing the legs as in normal walking. One foot goes forward, then the other foot goes forward. You can do Okuriyashi, Tsugi Ashi, and Ayumi Ashi, all using Suri Ashi, or not. Depending on whether you use Suri Ashi, will affect the way weight distribution moves around, creates differences in power, stealth, flexibility, speed, and muscle sequencing. Hikitsuki. The term Hikitsuki, or pulling after, means the part of the step in which the foot is pulled up after a Fumikomi. It is used to put you back in a natural stance. It may or may not be a power stroke. Fumikomi. For years, I had been confused by this term. I had first heard it used in terms of the kendo stomp with the front foot. Then I heard it used for the movement of the back foot. In kendo, that movement of the back foot is called hikitsuki. So the best translation I could come up with for Fumikomi, which allows for both uses, is power stroke. When Fumikomi is used as the term for power stroke, it may be used when talking about Okuriyashi or Tsugi Ashi. In this form of usage, the Fumikomi is that part of the stepping sequence which provides the power to Tai Sabaki, moving the core body mass. It is from Fumikomi that we get our power as our body moves forward or backwards. In doing Okuriyashi, the power stroke or Fumikomi is the bringing up of the back foot to the front foot. In Tsugi Ashi, Fumikomi is the bringing down of the front foot. These two different types of Fumikomi are best seen when using a ken. In this first demonstration, the Fumikomi is the first part of the step, followed by a Hikitsuki. So, Tsugi Ashi from kendo style front foot. The power stroke happens when the first foot or stomp hits the ground. You can see the ken hitting as the front foot hits the ground. In this next demonstration, Fumikomi is the second part of the step in which the power stroke happens when the second foot is brought up. The ken is seen cutting as the back foot is drawn up. These two different types of Fumikomi are used in different parts of the techniques we do. Let us use Shomen Uchi Ikkyo as an example. When we take the Shomen Uchi, we step forward using Okuriyashi to attain the correct ma'ai and accept the attack. This is followed by a Fumikomi using the Hikitsuki to attain Kuzushi. This can be immediately followed by another Fumikomi with the front foot when cutting down Uke's arm. A Hikitsuki is then used to regain the correct ma'ai before pushing down Uke with Ayumi Ashi movement in towards Uke's third point. Here, we're going to take first step in Okuriyashi, then we're going to use this Hikitsuki as a Fumikomi. Coming in. You'll notice that when I move my foot in, his whole body posture changes. Then I just... As you can see, it could get very confusing using Fumikomi to mean power stroke. So I will use the term Hikitsuki as in kendo to mean drawing up the back foot. And I will use the term Fumikomi to mean the placing down of the front foot forcefully, again as it is used in kendo. I will use power stroke for either the front or back foot power stroke. There is one point of interest I should mention. If the front foot is put forward without a stomp, what would the Japanese instructor say? Instead of saying Fumikomi, they would often say ippo dashite, or put one foot in front. Shikko. Shikko is the walking on the knees while in seiza. Some people find it strange to practice on the knees, given that we no longer tend to sit this way. However, it is a very important form of practice to assist in learning the fundamentals of Aikido. If you cannot do Aikido Suwari Waza, you will reduce the rate at which you learn Aikido at the higher levels, since you will not understand some of the movement fundamentals that can be best learned by practicing Suwari Waza. By using Shikko, we reduce the degrees of freedom in our body movement by removing our hips, knees, ankles, and leg rotation, supination or pronation, from the equation. Thus, movement becomes simplified, and the fundamental Tai Sabaki of the technique is exposed. Sankaku Irimi. Sankaku Irimi means triangular entry. There are a number of ways of doing this, but the important part of the definition is the movement in a triangular motion. Tenshin. Tenshin is the movement of the body backwards. It can mean movement to any one of the three backward directions. Tenkan. Tenkan is the pivoting motion in which one foot is pulled back. Some of my students used to call it the pivot plus movement. Tenkai. Not everyone uses the term Tenkai. Some Shihans use the term Tenkan for this movement as well. It is the same in that Tenkai is just the pivot portion of Tenkan. It consists of only the pivot. Irimi Tenkan. Irimi Tenkan is the combination of the Irimi entry movement and the Tenkan pivoting motion. Exercises for Tai Sabaki. The exercises described herein are just a limited number to give you some idea of how the exercises work and to what you must pay attention when doing your Tai Sabaki exercises. I am sure you or your sensei have a number of other exercises that are as good or better than the ones I am describing here. I am not really concerned which exercises you do, but want you to understand the important issues involved in each exercise so that you will pay attention to these details as you do the exercises you like or find help you the most. Too many people simply do Tai Sabaki exercises without thinking about what is being practiced, so they do not get the full benefit of the exercises. Shikko. The practice of Shikko is absolutely necessary for the practice of Suwari Waza, and Suwari Waza is necessary for the development of good Tai Sabaki. It helps to develop correct body placement, reduces the degrees of freedom in a technique to allow you to get the essence of a technique, helps develop your hip movement, and helps you to learn where to put your feet. During all the practices involving Shikko, I want you to remain aware of three things. First, you need to stay on your toes. Second, you need to stay as low as possible with your butt touching the heels of your feet. Last, you have to try and keep your heels in alignment and, if possible, together. Okay? And the last thing you want to make sure you do is you want to keep your heels in line. You don't want to be like this. This doesn't work either. Neither does this. As soon as you do this, you have trouble putting your knee down because it doesn't go down. So what you have to do is keep your knees, heels together. Okay? Basic Shikko. Get into Hammi, but this time, hold the jo perpendicular to the direction you are moving. Start your Shikko, but try and make sure that the jo does not move or sway. In this way, you help to develop some dissociation between your knees, hips, and shoulders for increased flexibility. Once you are able to dissociate your upper body from your lower body, learn to move both upper body and lower body at the same time by keeping your hands on your laps and moving your shoulders in time with your legs so that you are going from left hammi to right hammi and vice versa. This exercise to glue the upper and lower body together is the more important exercise since it teaches you to move from hammi to hammi and keeps you in fighting position. Okay? Then what you don't want to do is lag your body. For instance, you don't want to be moving you want to be moving all at once. Suwari Waza, Irimi Tenkan. Before you start practicing the Irimi Tenkan, let's do a little exercise to help you with the movement. This exercise should help you learn to swing your feet around as your knees come together to increase your range of turn. To do this little exercise, what you're going to do is I want you to come up so that your feet are like this position. Okay? So you're in a 90-degree position now. So you take this knee and you bring it down to this knee, like this. And raise the other one. Okay? So it's just little exercises. Boom. 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 Okay? Now, what I want to do with this now is I want to be able to take this movement, okay, and I want to be able to swing my feet around. So I'm going to show you from the back side first. Okay? So watch what happens to my knee or to my feet when my knee comes down. So from here, this is the practice. Watch my feet. See how my feet move around with me? It pivots with my body. If you allow your feet to swing more during the bringing of the knees together and the lifting of the other knee, you could even reach a 360-degree movement or greater. When a 360-degree pivot becomes easy, try doing a 540-degree pivot. So maybe what you can do is you want to try and practice going further than 360 degrees. So watch this. Just use the motion of bringing the knee down to move the feet around just a little bit more. Later on, you're going to want to do the little movement with very low step from just here. As you get better, you should be able to do this type of turn without lifting the knee or moving the foot ahead so much to minimize the amount the body rises. Instead, start practicing moving the feet by bringing the knees together. This exercise should help you learn to make the Tenkan movement on your knees. Advanced Shikko, Happo Undo. Sit down in seiza with your toes under you. You will be doing the Happo Undo exercise using Shikko to develop your ability to turn, pull yourself forward, keeping low, keeping your heels in line, and stretching your groin. As you move in the 8 directions.
8, okay. From here, I have to do an Irimi Tenkan. So I'm coming in here, okay.
Remember to take a large step forward each time and pull your body forward with the front foot, much like you would need to do when applying Hanmi Handachi techniques.
5.
Make each step as large as possible to increase the stretch and your range of motion.
From here,
speed is not important here, as much as the increased range of motion.
finish.
The first move is to step forward with the front left foot and pull yourself forward. Then do a 180-degree turn and step forward with the right foot, pulling yourself ahead again. The right foot forward is followed by the left foot forward, which you achieve by facing the other Hanmi position, 90 degrees from the last movement. Pull yourself ahead with your left foot. This is again followed with a full 180-degree turn to your right foot. Pull yourself ahead. You have now completed 4 of the 8 directions. To start the next part of the series, you have to move ahead 45 degrees by stepping ahead with your left foot and pulling yourself forward. Now comes the 180-degree pivot to your right foot. Pull yourself ahead. Turn 90 degrees and pull yourself ahead with your left foot. Keep up the pattern by pivoting 180 degrees and pulling yourself ahead.
Okay. From here, I have to do an Irimi Tenkan.
You have now completed all 8 directions. To complete the left side of this exercise, you need to finish with a Suwari Waza Irimi Tenkan.
Okay. Then now I'm going to do my right side.
To start the migi or right side of the Happo Undo, step Ayumi Ashi with the right foot and pull yourself forward.
1.
To do the right side, just remember to go right, left, and follow a 90-degree turn with a 180-degree turn.
6.
The only pivots which are not 90 or 180 are the ones where you change to the diagonal angles and the Irimi Tenkan for the finish. Sankaku Irimi Exercises.
Sankaku Irimi is the triangular entry. This exercise helps to promote the good use of the hips, good use of the feet, good posture, good weight distribution, and the habit of completing a movement.
You will start the single-person exercise by getting into Hanmi. Move your front foot out 45 degrees using Okuriyashi. Then move the back foot forward 90 degrees in a movement that can be described as out-in or a zigzag. You move out off the line of attack, then back onto the line of attack. So the very first thing you're going to do is start in Hanmi, but you're going to go 45 degrees first by going out, and then this foot is going to come back in at 90 degrees. So from here, you're going to be going out from here, you're going out 45, back, out, in, off the line, back onto the line, off the line, back onto the line. Now the next thing you have to do is worry about your hips. So from here, as I'm turning, as this foot is going out here, my hip has to turn. Okay? Now, I got to go this way, so my hip has to be this way. Then I'm going here, then here, here, then here. So each time my hip has to pivot this way. Partnered Sankaku Irimi Exercises. The next level of Sankaku Irimi practice is a partnered one.
You start in Gyaku Hanmi, So as you punch, I'm going to be stepping out, controlling your elbow, and as you step through, I'm going to be stepping across that way as well. Again, punch here, stepping out, controlling the elbow, stepping through, and turn. Okay. Here.
It is important to ensure that you are able to get 90 degrees and behind using the first step. After making the first step, you should be able to see your ites back. It is also important to place the controlling hand on the elbow rather than the forearm or upper arm, since the elbow is a key control point of the body.
Control with that hand, right? Make sure you control my elbow. Control it right at the elbow, right? And switch.
Blocking a strike at the wrist will allow the attacker the flexibility of an elbow strike. Blocking a strike on the upper arm will allow the attacker the flexibility of a back fist strike.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. You need to move off the line of attack a little bit more.
Later on, in combat situations, you will be striking the elbow rather than holding it off in order to dislocate the elbow joint.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Ah, what happened there? No, what happened is you turned before you went through. Yeah. I'll show you what I mean. We're going to go very slowly and we're going to duplicate. I want to duplicate what you did, okay? So, as you came through, you started doing this. And you started walking with your foot like this. Now, what happens here is you make one step, make a footstep, and turn. You're now at my 90 degree and behind position. And I got to turn, and I turn right into that punch. Okay? So you never want to turn before you come through. Same thing again, okay? Here, but if I walk through, you try to turn with me. You notice I'm at your back all the way through the turn, right? If I turn with you, then you get ahead of me. Okay. So what the whole idea is that you have to go through the technique. Tsugi.
Partnered Sankaku Irimi variation.
From here.
Another advanced Sankaku Irimi exercise is a version of Tai No Henka. Uke grabs Nage's wrist in katate tori. That means you should be in gyaku hanmi.
So, Uke holds on here. If I try to come into this Sankaku Irimi like this, I'm way straight open and I have no power. I have to get to the 90 degree position. So, I have to turn your hip. There. So now, I'm actually being able to see your back, so I can come in here, and then there. Good. Let's try to show you the other side. From here, I have to actually turn your hip there so that I can see your back. Come in here, then Irimi. Good.
Nage begins by stepping with the back foot to the third point of both uke and nage, while raising the hand to hip level with the palm up. Fingers should be extended and thumbs facing the direction of travel. The other foot now steps forward in a triangular motion and hands are extended out so that uke is moved in a pivoting motion and led in the same direction as nage is moving. Upon making the second step inwards, uke's back should be exposed to you. Continue the exercise by switching arms. Tenshin Exercises. The one-person Tenshin exercise starts in Chudan Hanmi. Pivot the back foot to face your front foot while rotating the upper body to pull the front shoulder away past the back shoulder. You are torquing your body as if you were dodging a bullet. At the same time, raise your arms in a furikaburi.
what you're trying to do is get your shoulders off the line of attack. So I'm starting here. You can see from this motion that when I do this, I'm getting myself off the line of attack. So from here, here, and back. Okay? So again, so from here, I'm on this line of attack. I'm going to get my body off the line of attack. Okay? Now, one of the things that you want to make sure when you do this is that you're not doing something like this. This arm motion is not cutting across your body like this. Okay? Instead, your arm is coming straight up here. Now just watch. From here, I'm just going to have my hand up. As your body turns, it's going to come back, and it's going to come straight down. Okay? So you can see, from here, I've got my arm up. Now, watch what happens to my arm as my hip turns here. Okay? So all I'm doing is raising my arm straight up and down. It's just coming there. Okay? Again, all I'm doing is I'm raising my arm straight up and down and cutting down. Okay? You can add a little bit of a kesa to it if you like from here. Down this way. Okay? So again, you can add in a little bit of kesa as I come back here that way, or from here coming back that way.
Partnered Tenshin exercise.
We're going to start this exercise in
The two-person Tenshin exercise involves an uke starting off in Aihami. Uke does an atemi to the midsection of your body. Avoid the blow by pivoting your back foot and body. Step back to regain your balance while cutting down at uke's striking arm to sweep it past aside your body so that you are 90 degrees and behind uke. Make sure that the cut is not horizontal across your body, but a kesa cut.
This is something that a lot of people don't realize, that if as you come in, I step back, okay, then I'm actually wide open for your next hit because I can't control you. I have to be able to control you as I'm stepping back. Okay, so watch again what happens if I step back at the same time. I don't have you under enough control. So I want to maintain closeness.
Advanced Partnered Tenshin exercise.
Another exercise you can do to help you achieve the body flexibility needed to perform tenshin correctly is similar to the Systema knife exercises. Let's just do a little bit of an exercise here. Yeah. Okay, so what we're going to do...
Stand with your partner in Aihami. Your partner holds a tanto in their front hand and pushes on your chest closest to them. As uke pushes with the point of the tanto, Nage should pivot his or her body away from the pressure without changing the location of the feet. Instead, pivot the feet and body to get your body to uke's ura or backside. Do this exercise on both sides of the body to help develop flexibility and softness in the body. This exercise will also help to train you to move the body out of the way of the strike before moving the feet. Remember that in order to remain flexible in the Sanshin stance, you have to keep your knees bent. The straighter your knees become, the more rooted your feet will be. Keeping the knees well bent will allow you to move more easily. This is especially true of the Sanshin stance. Tenkai Exercises.
Depending on who you ask, this is just another variation of Tenkan. It definitely is part of Tenkan, However, I like to differentiate this movement simply to get students to practice it separately from Tenkan exercises. If you remember the 10-point exercise from the first video, you will see that all movements are essentially variations on the same theme anyway.
The Tenkai exercise helps develop a quick pivoting motion to avoid a short atemi. Join with the atemi and get off the line of attack. Stand in hammi. Pivot your front foot to move your weight to your heel by lifting your heel and placing it 90 degrees to its original angle. Turn your head to face the opposite direction and then pivot the body. As you pivot your body, pivot your now front foot to face the same direction as your body and move it over so that the heel is in line with the heel of the back foot. You will find that you end up in a back stance. Your arms can swing up and down to aid in the pivoting motion, or use a digging motion with the hand as if someone was grabbing the wrist. Remember to try and keep your heels in line. Use the toe-heel, heel-toe weight distribution and to turn your head first before pivoting your body.
Your head there. Move your head.
Do these in a smooth sequence until you become comfortable with this Tenkai exercise.
The problem is if I move my head at the same time, I might be moving into a punch. And you don't want to be doing something like this. And notice as I do this, my feet get spread wider and wider apart. And this is natural when you turn your head with the body. You have to move your head first in order to get into the correct position.
Partnered Tenkai exercise. The next level of Tenkai practice starts by standing with your partner in Aihammi. Nage should be standing with arms at the sides. Uke should do a standard chudanatemi to the abdomen or solar plexus area. Nage should simply turn, keeping the arms at the sides, using good timing. Nage's arm will deflect the strike as Uke steps through. Uke should take another step through and begin a strike during the turn. Nage needs to respond by simply pivoting. The pivot uses the toe-heel, heel-toe pattern so that Nage moves over 1 foot length each time a pivot is made. Irimi Tenkan exercises. The Irimi Tenkan exercises are very much like the Tenkai exercises, but you are doing a pivot plus a step back. Start in Chudan Hammi. Step across with your back leg and shift balance to that leg as the foot is put down in a position much like making a quick stop on snow skates or an inline skate. You are now doing exactly the same thing as with the Tenkai exercise. Remember to face the direction to which you are turning before pivoting the body. The body should follow the head. Pull your now front leg straight back while maintaining your weight on the other leg. Place the foot moving back correctly to be in an hammi position.
There. So you're in a good hammi rather than being like this. Okay, again, from here. Okay, you'll notice I'm in a fairly decent hammi.
The arms should either raise up and cut down as in a furikaburi motion, or the front hand should be digging in and extending forward. As you continue to do an entire set of these exercises, you should be moving 1 foot length sideways each time you pivot. Remember to turn your head before your body, or it will be difficult to end up in a good Hanmi position. Remember to think about attacking uke's center with your hands, and to keep your thumb facing the direction of the attack. Try to move as much in a direct line rather than a sweeping motion to ensure the quickest rate of turn. The partnered Irimi Tenkan exercise, Tai No Henka.
The advanced Irimi Tenkan exercise involves a partner and can be done several ways. The first shown here are the Tai No Henka and Tai No Tenkan. Tai No Henka has several variations, of which only the Tenkan version will be shown here.
For Tai No Henka, start in katate tori with Nage's wrist grabbed in the palm-down position. Nage should use his or her fingers to attack uke's center and achieve joining. Then, dig with the fingers and thumb to lead uke's center in the opposite direction. At the same time, Nage should be stepping forward with a Hikitsuki to enter into the 90-degree and behind position and get uke's grasp from in front of his or her tanden. Extend your arms, fingers, and thumbs forward as you do your tenkan. Remember, in Aikido, there are very few, if any, times that you pull on uke. Like in the Torifune Kogi Undo, you are pushing on the back of uke's wrist instead of pulling on their fingers. By entering into 90 degrees and behind, your own hand should now be in front of your center and in the center of your power, your tanden. The other thing Nage is trying to accomplish with this move is to take Aite's grasp from in front of his or her tanden. By stepping into the 90-degree and behind position, uke's hand is moved away from his or her tanden and moved into front of you. This gives you the power advantage required to complete the movement. Common mistakes in this exercise is for Nage to move the grasped hand with the palm facing Nage, or to let his or her hand move too far away from tanden. Both of these errors allows Aite to keep his or her hand in front of their own tanden and to maintain the power advantage. Didn't come in far enough. So now I'm behind you. Watch what happens when you don't come in deep enough. Okay? Here. This exercise is one in which both uke and Nage must be involved. Nage is practicing his or her Irimi Tenkan. Uke is practicing staying in a balanced and aware position from where he or she could do a counter move. This means that uke must keep a good posture and look for openings throughout the exercise. If the Tai No Henka exercise is done correctly, uke should feel like they have to step forward with the back leg to maintain balance and get out of a precarious position. This leads directly into the Tai No Tenkan exercise. The partnered Irimi Tenkan exercise, Tai No Tenkan. So now this Irimi Tenkan exercise. In Tai No Tenkan, you would do the same as in Tai No Henka, but you will extend enough forward and downwards that uke will be forced to spin around to regain balance and protect themselves from you getting to the 90-degree and behind position. In spinning around, they will attack on your other hand that you present so that you can do a continuous exercise. Work on the smoothness and on extending forward rather than pulling. Don't do this exercise as if it's like just a matter of movement. This is an exercise for combat. So what you're trying to do is figure out at what point you're vulnerable. So now you've got to move. But don't do the exercise too quickly. Take your time and get each movement right. Too soon. A key issue for Nage is that since this exercise is much more dynamic than Tai No Henka, there is less need for entering to the 90-degree and behind position. Rather, there is an opportunity to practice leading uke to the position in which you want them. Remember, lead, don't
That's
pull.
better. That's better. Good. Now you're starting to act like this is actual combat rather than just moving around. This, doing something like this, as you do Tai No Henka, that's nothing. So I have to wait until the moment you move. There, you're dangerously close.
Nage should work on the smoothness and on extending forward and downwards rather than pulling. Uke should work on staying out of the vulnerable position and maintaining good balance and posture during movement.
I got you already. You gotta do it right. Okay, I gotta move.
Jo-style Ayumi Ashi exercises. Power walking.
We looked at the Jo-style Ayumi Ashi movement in the first video, where we called the position the reverse of Hanmi. Sometimes I call this exercise power walking, since it is intended to help you build power in your hips through a counter-rotational motion, rather than the linear one we get in Tsugi Ashi or Okuri Ashi.
The step uses the motion off the back foot, which stays facing its original direction. The hip moves to face the same direction as the foot coming forward, ahead of the other one in a Fumikomi. This counter-rotational movement of the hip is what gives this motion its power, much like the power move used by baseball pitchers.
There. So they're using this type of torquing motion to get that power. So
You start this exercise by standing in Hanmi.
here,
Move the back foot to the front and place it on the ground with the heel in line with the heel of the other foot. The feet should make a 90-degree angle.
two,
As your foot is being moved in front,
one,
the hip should counter-rotate so that your upper body pivots to face the same direction as your foot. To ensure that your upper body is facing the same direction as your front foot and that you are using your knees to drop your body, touch your opposite elbow to the knee that is up. Keep your back straight and try not to bend over. Keep your butt under your body. Rise up and shift your front foot to a 45-degree angle so that you can keep moving in a straight line and do the same movement with the other leg. This will build power in your hips and legs. It will also help you to develop the power of your upper body in the counter-rotational motion. Step and pivot.
There are two ways of stepping and pivoting which are distinct and used in different situations. They differ in how the weight distribution is or is not shifted. So from here,
In the first one, you step forward with either your front or back foot and shift your weight to the front. After shifting your weight, you pivot first, then shift your weight to your new front leg.
so do that from this angle, from here. Okay, I'm coming in and I'm going here, stepping forward, then I'm going heel, toe, to shift my weight this way. So again, here, I'm shifting my weight and I'm going heel, toe.
You will use this type of step and pivot motion in doing a technique like the kata de tori koshi nage you were shown in the first DVD of this series.
One more time. Here.
This allows you to use the torifune kogi undo motion to deliver power to your technique. Another technique that demonstrates this movement is Ikkyo Henka Waza Udegarame Nage. Another way of doing a step and pivot is used in Shiho Nage Omote. In this one, you step forward without shifting your weight to the front foot. Instead, you pivot with your weight on your back leg so that by turning, you already have your weight on your new front foot.
I come here, but while I step here, I don't shift my weight and I keep my weight on my toes, driving this way.
Another technique that demonstrates this movement is Irimi Nage Kaeshi Waza Sankyo. Both of these step and pivot motions should be practiced.
I step here, but I don't shift my weight. It keeps on this one, and I just drive from my toes.
Application exercises. Sankaku Irimi into Tenchi Nage Omote using Ken-style movement.
Okay, so from here, all you're doing is coming in, going here. The motion of it is real simple. All you're doing is coming in 1, 2, down. Just coming in 1, 2.
Begin with the partners in I Hammi.
Let's do that again.
As Uke moves forward with the back foot into a Ryote Tori attack in Gyaku Hammi, Nage should step out with the front foot to the 1030 position, as in the 10-point clock exercise, to Uke's Ura. This will put Nage into the 90-degree and behind position. The lead hand cuts down with the blade edge and thumb both facing Uke's third point. The back hand raises up as if getting ready to cut with the blade and thumb both facing upwards. Both of your hands should be directly in front of your hara. The second step of the Sankaku Irimi is now taken, and the upper hand cuts down across Uke's shoulder, as if cutting the collarbone. Hands and feet should move together and end together.
Really tight so that I can't raise it. See? Can't raise it. But if I come here, it becomes very easy. Because you have, once your arm crosses over this center line, you've got no way to resist it. So I have to come in here.
Sankaku Irimi into Shiho Nage Omote using Ken-style movement for Katate Tori Gyaku Hammi attack.
Just from here, just here, here, stepping 90 degrees to this foot without shifting weight.
Uke attacks by stepping forward with a katate tori on Nage's lead hand. Nage responds by entering Irimi with the back foot, so that Uke and Nage's feet are matched and both persons' third point are at the same location. Nage cuts down with a tegatana to the third point while grasping Uke's wrist. Do not twist the wrist. The torquing motion is not required here. Simply drive down Uke's arm to the third point. Nage should end up in the 90-degree and behind position. This will result in Uke's arm being relatively above his or her head.
Okay, just stay there. Now, you'll see when the person stands up that their arm is above their head. So, what we're doing is we're using the drop to raise your arm. Here, okay? At this point, then I'm going to step 90 degrees to this foot. Here, I'm not going to shift my weight, but I'm going to bring it back.
Nage then steps in between Uke's feet with the other foot without shifting weight in a Sankaku Irimi motion. You should notice at this point that the inward step is done at 90 degrees to the first outward step. As the entering foot touches the ground between Uke's feet, that leg should be used to drive Nage into a pivot. Uke, at this point, needs to either step backwards quickly to take an Ushiro Ukemi or pivot to allow a Mai Tobi Ukemi. Not moving the feet or pivoting will possibly result in Uke's elbow being dislocated, so Nage should do this move slowly to protect Uke's arm. Ayumi Ashi Irimi into Aiki Otoshi using Jo-style movement.
here.
Begin with the partners in Aihanmi. Uke attacks with a Jodan-ski atemi to Nage's head. Nage responds by passing the punch through while stepping with a back foot using the Jo-style Ayumi Ashi Irimi. If the Ayumi Ashi Irimi is done correctly, with the front foot pivoting 90 degrees on the toes and the back foot moving to place the heels in line, then Nage's body will have moved off the line of attack. Nage should pass control of the striking arm to the backhand while dropping into the counter-rotational position. At this point, it is possible to strike uke with the shoulder, but it is unnecessary. Once in position, Nage should use elbow, shoulder, and hara to get over uke's center and drop down on the uke from below. This should be accompanied with a step in with the back foot. The foot moves forward to a position at uke's back third point. If these movements are done right, it should make uke sit on Nage's lap.
So that you're actually sitting on my knee.
Nage can place one hand under uke's inside knee and the other under uke's butt, so that uke can be popped up with the hips to lift them off their feet. Toss uke away behind Nage as Nage steps into a counter-rotational movement to rip uke's grip off anything that they have grabbed.
Okay, if I turn the other way, it rips the hands off. You'll see what happens.
Irimi Tenkan Ura into Irimi Nage using Ken-style motion. Begin with the partners in Gyaku Hammi. Uke attacks with a Shomen Uchi off their back foot. Nage responds by slightly entering with a pivoting front foot and entering Irimi with a back foot so that uke and Nage's feet are matched and Nage has joined uke in the same direction. Nage's arms should be rising up with an awase motion. The moment of contact with uke's arm should be the moment of pivoting and joining. Nage immediately steps backwards and cuts down with a kesa. As the kesa and stepping back is finished, the above hand should be coming down on the back of uke's head and neck or onto the collar to keep uke moving forward. Using this momentum, Nage should be pivoting one more time without moving the feet to complete the Tenkan Ura. As the Tenkan Ura movement is being completed, Nage's arms should be swinging up, then cutting straight down on uke to provide the downward vector.
The next part, the mistake most people do here, is they take people too far away. Now if you just step away from me, you'll notice that I'm in the cornholio position like this. So this is a really bad position because I got no power at all. I want to make sure my hands stay in front. The other one they do is that they don't turn enough. There. Now I'm trying to do a throw. I have to torque myself back this way to do the throw. And if you're strong, there's no way, because again, I'm belly to belly when I try to do the throw. Look what's happened to me. Move away. You can see that I'm in again, a really bad position when I'm doing this thing. So you want to make sure that you turn. There!
Tenkai Tenshin into Tenchi Nage Ura using Jo-style motion. We are doing this exercise to build power in the hips and to learn to push uke through rather than pulling. Begin with the partners in Aihanmi. Uke steps in to attack with a ryotetori. Allow uke to get a good grip and clamp down on the wrists so that it is not easy to do ryotetori tenchi nage. Nage should pivot the hips in a counter-rotational motion into the position of reverse of hanmi. Pivoting on the toes of the back foot and the heel of the front foot will get Nage off the line of attack, while placing the back hip in front of the front foot. The heels of the feet should again be in line. It is important to get the back hip in front of the front foot so that Nage can get behind Uke's back hand with his or her wrist. By getting the hip behind the hand, Nage can now push Uke's hand from behind rather than pulling. The top hand does not pull Uke, but extends Uke outwards, using centrifugal motion to move Uke in an orbit around Nage. The bottom hand extends Uke through the line of attack, past Nage's center. Once Uke is past Nage, Nage continues Uke moving through using a Tenshin movement. Nage needs to follow Uke by pivoting before initiating the downward vector. This can be done using the empty the teacup motion with the upper hand and extending with the thumb combined with a cutting motion of the lower tegatana. Remember to keep both hands in front of your hara. Nage should not get into a surrender position.
Nice and tight. Right?
This means that Nage must lead Uke far enough to get to the 90-degree and behind position.
Even if the guy doesn't move. This thing is so powerful. This movement is so powerful. Just this, like that. And so that's why we use this all the time. And this.
Irimi Tenkai into Tenchi Nage Ura using Ken-style motion.
You're going to lead the person using your thumbs. This one works very well for dynamic situations.
Uke steps in to attack with a ryotatori. Nage should provide easier access to his or her wrists by stepping forward with the front foot while extending arms forward. As Uke gets a grip, Nage should be pivoting while extending both arms in the direction of the thumbs. Do not pull, but extend forward. As Uke moves around Nage, Nage should cut down with the inside hand while extending upwards with the outside hand. This will help to pin Uke's inside leg to the ground.
At this point, this back leg is going to be like that.
The outer hand continues to raise Uke upwards so that Uke's outside leg rises up. At that point, cut down with a kesa to initiate the downward vector. Tenshin into Jyuji Nage. Begin with partners in Aihammi. Uke steps in with a yokomen uchi. Nage responds by pivoting the back foot and rotating the body out of the way of the atemi, while stepping backwards to the opposite 45-degree back corner with the front foot. Nage cuts down on Uke's strike and sweeps it into Nage's tanden, where he or she takes Uke's wrist with the outer hand. Swing Uke's arm out, not up. If you swing up, Uke will recover his or her balance and be able to shift balance to counter the technique. Nage steps in with the back foot while extending with the inside arm under Uke's upper arm to make an X, or the 10th character, or Jyuji in Japanese. As Nage does so, the back foot should come forward in a Hikitsuki. It is this foot movement which raises Uke on the toes, not a lifting with the arms. The throw occurs as Nage steps forward with a Fumikomi while extending the front arm and holding the back arm down. An empty the teacup hand motion can also be done so that Nage's arm is pronated and all slack can be taken out of Nage's arm-hara connection. Nage should end up in a strong hammi position with the front arm extended.
A number of things mentioned here in this video have been shown in the first one on Hammi. If you need clarification, please look at this first video again. Understanding and being able to do the kamae of Hammi is an important precursor to this video. Without having a good kamae, the movement will only result in a loss of balance or a poor positional outcome. There are a lot of other issues and points that could have been mentioned about movement, but I hope to cover all those things in the following videos. For instance, we'll be covering the issue of the direction of the thumb and its control in another video, as well as the third point in getting to 90 degrees in 2 other videos. A video is also planned for the use of the control of mai, another one for leading and following, and a further one for breath control. It is impossible to separate any one of these principles from the others, so there will be overlaps, some review of other principles, and I will mention principles in passing without going into detail in any one particular video. Hopefully, by the time we get through the next 20 videos, we'll have covered sufficient principles to help you improve your Aikido. At the same time, we tried as much as possible to make these videos stand alone. We hope that you've enjoyed this video and learned something useful in improving your Aikido. We look forward to helping you with the next one as well, so please look for it on our website at www.aikidoprinciples.com.